Somewhere in the world right now, someone is getting up before the sky gives them any reason to. No sun, no alarm demanding it, no one watching. They've been doing this for longer than any modern habit tracker has existed, and they didn't need a study to start. For over 1,000 years, monks in Christian monasteries have woken hours before sunrise for an office called vigils. The night watch, followed at daybreak by lauds, the praises sung as the light actually arrives. It is one of the oldest continuously kept schedules in human history, older than clocks, older than the printing press, older than the idea of a workday. The practice is simple to describe and hard to keep. You rise while it is still night, and you meet the day before the day has done anything to earn your attention. An old verse, written long before any of this, said it plainly: I rise before the dawn and cry for help. Not after, before. The waking itself was the discipline, not what came after it. For most of history, that kind of pre-dawn rising looked like devotion or duty or simply how farm life worked. It did not look like science. Nobody could explain why the hour before sunrise felt different from every other hour of the day. They just knew that it did, and they built their most serious practices around it. Centuries later, a Harvard researcher named Charles Czeisler spent his career studying exactly what that ancient instinct had stumbled onto. Your body runs on an internal clock tuned to light, and that clock does not wait politely for your alarm. It starts shifting your hormones, your alertness, and your core temperature hours before you open your eyes. The people who rise into that shift, instead of being dragged out of sleep by it, get a version of the morning that is measurably calmer. Not because they are more disciplined people, because they stop fighting a rhythm that was already running with or without their permission. Here is the uncomfortable part. Most people do not lie in bed at 5 a.m. debating philosophy. They lie there negotiating with a feeling, the pull to stay under the blanket for 5 more minutes, which quietly becomes 15, which quietly becomes the version of the morning they didn't want. Mel Robbins built an entire method around that exact 5-second gap, the moment between the alarm and the decision. Her rule is almost embarrassingly simple. Count backward, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. Not when you feel ready, but before your brain finishes building the case for staying still. The counting isn't magic. It's a deadline sure enough that hesitation never gets the floor. Put those 3 things next to each other, and a pattern appears that has nothing to do with era or belief. The monk did not wait to feel spiritual before rising for vigils. The verse did not wait for dawn to arrive before crying out. It went looking for it in the dark. And the 5-second rule does not wait for motivation to show up before the body moves. In every case, the getting up came first. The feeling that was supposed to justify it arrived later, if it arrived at all. This is the part worth sitting with this morning. You have probably been waiting for a feeling that isn't coming. The sense of being fully awake, fully willing, fully in the mood before you let yourself begin. That feeling was never a precondition. It was never the switch that turns the day on. The switch is your body leaving the bed while the excuse is still mid-sentence. You don't need a monastery, and you don't need a bell tower to keep this practice. You need the same 5 seconds the monk had at the sound of the first bell before dawn had done a single thing to earn it, and the willingness to move on that count, not on how you feel about it. Consider what actually happens in the first minute most people are awake now. The hand reaches for the phone before the feet reach the floor. The mind is handed someone else's headline, someone else's emergency, someone else's opinion, before it has had a single unclaimed thought of its own. That is the opposite of what Vigils was built to protect. The monks were not trying to get information before anyone else did. They were trying to get silence before anyone else claimed it, A stretch of minutes where the mind belonged to nothing but the day ahead and whatever they chose to bring into it. Czeisler's research says your body is already primed for exactly the kind of clarity in the pre-dawn hours if you don't spend it on a screen the moment your eyes open. There's also a quieter reason this matters more than it looks like it does. Every morning you negotiate with the alarm and lose, you are not just losing 10 minutes. You are rehearsing a version of yourself who waits to be convinced before acting, who treats motivation as a gatekeeper instead of a rumor that shows up late, if it shows up at all. That rehearsal does not stay in the bedroom. It follows you into the meeting you keep postponing, the workout you keep bargaining down, the hard conversation you keep telling yourself you'll have when you're ready. The 5 seconds after the alarm are not really about the alarm. They're the smallest, cheapest place to practice the exact muscle every other discipline in your day depends on. None of this requires belief in anything beyond what you can test tomorrow morning. Set the alarm. When it sounds, do not ask yourself how you feel. Count backward from 5 and let your feet find the floor on 1. The same way the monk let his feet find the cold stone floor centuries ago, the same way the old verse went looking for help before the sky offered any. The feeling you were waiting for was never going to arrive first. It shows up, if it shows up at all, only after you've already moved. The light did not ask permission to rise this morning. Neither should you. I will not wait for the feeling of readiness before I get up. I will treat the first 5 seconds after waking as the whole decision, not the whole day. I will meet the morning before it has done anything to earn my attention. I will let getting up come first and let the feeling follow, or not follow at all. What's the one morning you rose before you felt like it, and turn out glad you did? Tell me below. I read every one.